Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sichos HaRan shir. Tonight, we're going to be doing Sicha number 65. So this piece is on a very important subject. It's on the topic of Simcha, of feeling happiness. The Sicha is very short, but Rebbe Nachman had a lot to say on the topic. So Amir Hashem will spend time on this very important lesson and we'll expand it and get some more understanding. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to go to the piece. Again, it's Sichos HaRan, Rebbe Nachman's Wisdom, Sicha number 65. Just going to pull up the share screen. Okay, here we go. Joy can protect your children from death. The evil force that destroys children is called Lilith from Zohar. Joy is the antithesis of Lilith. I'm just going to read the footnote, number 104. The name Lilith comes from the root Layla, night, and is associated with dark moods and depression. Okay, so just to recap. So Rebbe Nachman says that joy will stop from death happening to children. And we learn that Lilith, who is responsible for children's death, her name comes from the root Layla, comes from the root night, which we learn has to do with this darkness and this sadness and this negativity. Okay, so that's the piece. So Rebbe Nachman was known to say that being happy all the time is a big mitzvah. Mitzvah gedola lihiyot b'simcha tamed. It's a big mitzvah to always be happy. He really wanted his Hasidim to fulfill the Torah with joy. He spoke in different places about being silly in order to be happy, as long as, you're not lewd or inappropriate. And he spoke about, dancing in order to be happy. And he spoke about hanging out with friends and having conversations with them in order to be happy. Sichos HaRan. This was a huge deal, and this is a huge deal. And he also spoke on the opposite spectrum of this about the detriments of depression. So he spoke a lot about both. To me, it seems that Rebbe Nachman knew, he just knew what everybody was after, what we're all looking for. And, I wish I could say for myself, I'm looking for higher things than just, my own satisfaction and happiness. But the fact is that happiness, I think for most, is, what's sought out more than anything else. And people will do different things in order to get this happiness and this feeling of satisfaction. Some people, they'll try to acquire a lot of wealth. Some people will try to acquire a lot of kavod and respect, other success, and others mitzvot and chesed and wonderful things. But either way, it's like we're all after something. We're all going for something. And, and even for our kids, it's something that we worry about. We always want to know, oh, are my kids happy in school? Or is my spouse enjoying his job? Or are my friends, also happy? Are they doing well? It's a big topic. And it's something that we know is at the root of everything, that we look to feel this sense of happiness and fulfillment. And Rebbe Nachman comes to tell us that this isn't a small thing. This is like a worthy cause to strive for. So like I said before, he warns us a great bunch also about falling into depression. So on that note, we're going to go read Lekutey Maharan, Tinyana, Torah number 10. So I'm going to pull up the share screen again. The sole reason that people are distant from God and do not draw closer to him is that they lack Yishuv Hadas and fail to settle their minds. It is essential that a person strives to reflect on the purpose of all the desires and distractions of this world. This includes the desires which are bound up with the body and also the non-physical desires such as for honor. Then he will surely return to God. So Rebbe Nachman tells us that The main reason why people are far from Hashem is because they don't have any yishuv hadat. They don't have a settled mind. They're all over the place. Or it mentions in this footnote that they're not focused on like what counts in life. What's the important things in life? So, and he's telling us that he's going to tell us how to attain this, how to attain this yishuv hadat. So we're up to point number 2 over here. But no, depression makes it impossible to direct the mind the way one wants. It is therefore difficult for a person to attain yishuv hadat. So Rebbe Nachman's telling us straight out that depression will make it impossible for you to gain this yishuv hadat. And in turn, for this yishuv hadat, that's how we come close to Hashem. So with depression, it's basically impossible to come close to Hashem. Only joy enables him to direct the mind as he pleases and attain yishuv hadat. This is because joy is the realm of freedom, as in for through joy you will go out, from Yeshaya. Through joy, a person becomes free and goes out of exile. So I love like the Ramazim he gives. Like I think they're so on target about this freedom. Joy is freedom. I mean, I think we can all relate to that. And he's saying that only joy can make a mind go where you want it to go. Like when you have happiness, you're the driver, as opposed to when you feel down and you're depressed, it's like you're more like being dragged, and it's like somebody else is in control. Therefore, by binding the mind to joy, a person's mind and da'at are then free, and he's not conceptually in exile. As a result, he can direct his mind as he pleases and attain yishuv hadat, since his mind is free and not in exile. For exile unsettles the mind, as our sages of blessed memory taught regarding the Ammonites and Moabites. Their minds were settled because they were never exiled, as it's stated from Yirmiyah. Moab has been at ease from his youth on and never gone into exile. Therefore, its fine flavor had remained, from Megillah. So again, so Rebbe Nachman is saying over here that when a person's mind is happy and when they feel good, they're able to gain this yishuv hadat because his mind is free and his mind's not in exile, like he's home. He's where he's meant to be. He's not in Gulut. He's not all over the place. And he gives this example about Moab. Okay, 3, we're up to. The way a person achieves joy, so now he's going to tell us, how do we achieve this joy that we're talking about, right? Is by finding in himself at least some good point. As in the explanation of the verse, I will sing to God with the little I have left, which is from Tehillim. And also Rebbe Nachman has a piece on just this pasuk, which is very, very powerful. I recommend everyone to learn it in Lekutey Maharan, Torah number 282. So he says, how does a person achieve this joy? And Rebbe Nachman is telling us by finding a good point within us, by finding something good that we like about ourselves. And he says, no matter what, a person can rejoice that he's privileged to be from the seed of Israel, for not having made me a Gentile. As we say, blessed is our God, who created us for his glory, separated us, and gave us the Torah of truth. It is fitting that he be happy about all this and similar such things in order to gladden his mind. So Rebbe Nachman's saying here that a person has to focus on his good points. A person has to think about the mitzvahs that they do every day and realize like what gold we have from doing these mitzvahs and the value of these mitzvahs. Like my husband always likes to say, like, don't throw your mitzvahs out in the garbage. Like, we love to do that. Like, oh, I woke up today and yeah, I davened, but I didn't have any kavanah. I just raced through the entire davening. Or, we love to just smash down any good that we do. And Rebbe Nachman's telling us that that's not the way to do it. We have to appreciate every good point. Like, you davened. How amazing is that? Gold. It's gold. It's worth everything. You davened today. And, from that, you could, if we really celebrated all these things, by little, we could grow and grow in our joy and in our happiness. And Rebbe Nachman says also, like, even if you can't find any good points, even if you can't find anything that you're proud of for the day or for the year or whatever, or for however long, you know, just rejoice in the fact that you were born a Jew. You were born part of this nation, this chosen nation that Hashem forever wants to be close to, and that he's like trying to forever have this relationship with us. And that alone makes you so special, that you had this chus, that you have this amazing part in this whole huge world amongst billions and trillions of people. So, okay, back to the piece. This is the meaning of a jovial mind, which is a great thing. It refers to his binding joy to his mind and da'at, so that with the mind set free, he attains yishuv hada'at. So when a person's mind is free, when he's feeling this joy, and then his mind gets set free, then he could attain this yishuv hada'at, this settled mind where he's aware of his purpose and what counts in life and what's important. And also on high, so this is another point. Also on high, a great unification is made by his being of a jovial mind. So from our joy, from us feeling joy, there's this unification, this yichud Hashem, this again declaring that Hashem is one, from us being happy, and having this happy, jovial mind. So great piece. And just to recap it a little more, you know, so Rebbe Nachman's telling us, like, how do we get this settled mind? How do we focus on what's really important in life and not get, you know, pulled from here to there and just be all over the place? And he says, through feeling this joy, through focusing on happiness, we're going to be able to have this settled mind. And that's only through letting this joy in. So we have to and again, like, so how do we let this joy in? How, you know, it's not so easy. We know that it's not so easy. We know that it's a struggle for many, and for all of us at different points of struggle. So Rebbe Nachman says you have to focus on the good. You have to focus on your good, not the good of like the outside world, even just your good, your own good. The fact on the little that we do, you know, and the little mitzvos, but really big mitzvos that we do. And slowly, it will build more and more and more and bring us to levels and levels of happiness. So, you know, it's just so interesting because it's completely true. You know, when a person is depressed, we know their mind's not settled. You know, you look at them and you're like, their mind's robbed from them, and they don't make any good decisions. It's kind of like their mind's in jail, like they can't pull themselves out. People, you know, and if you think about it, people use the term when they're depressed, stuck, a lot, like, oh, I'm stuck in this place and I can't get out of it. And I'm like in this funk, and this is where I am. And it feels like it's impossible to crawl out of here. Like I just keep on being drawn back in. You know, people describe things like that when they're in these depressions and negative moods and in these low places. And like, interesting to note that nobody uses that terminology when they're happy. I've never heard anybody said, oh, I'm just like stuck in this happy place. I'm just like stuck here, you know? But I think it's accurate. Like we feel that we're in this mental jail when we're in these negative places. So Rebbe Nachman's giving us like this timeless advice about how to get ourselves out of jail, right? How to get ourselves out of exile, he uses. And this is what to do. Like, just bring yourself up level by level, focusing on the good that you have within you, focusing on the good that's yours. Okay, so the next piece that I want to bring is in Lekutey Maharan, Torah 222. And this piece is also going to discuss going level by level to build yourself up. And it discusses like remembering a past good and using it to help you now. So I'm gonna just pull up the share screen. Okay, here we go. A person needs to be cheerful always and to serve God cheerfully. And even if he occasionally falls from his levels, he has to strengthen himself with earlier times when some small measure of light did shine on him. So Rebbe Nachman opens, a person needs to be happy always. He always has to feel happy. And he has to serve Hashem happy. Hashem wants happy people serving him, not angry, depressed, cynical people serving him. I mean, that's probably good too, but really he wants the happy ones, right? And Rebbe Nachman saying, even if a person occasionally falls from his level, he has to strengthen himself. He has to give himself chizuk about from earlier times when the light did shine on him, where he did feel good, where he was doing well. This is as we see that a number of blind people hold on to someone who is not blind, trusting him and following him. In addition, the blind man trusts his cane. He follows his cane even though he does not see at all. So Rebbe Nachman's giving this mashal of a person who's following, of a blind man who's following someone who could see. And that's what it's like when we have to kind of pick ourselves out of this negative space. All the more so, a person ought to follow himself. That is, since in earlier times, the light shone for him somewhat, and he strengthened himself and stirred his heart for God. Even though now he has fallen from this and his eyes and heart are closed, nevertheless, he should always hold on to those earlier times and follow them. That is, just as then he stirred his heart to strengthen his service of God, so too now he should strengthen his heart greatly and follow the arousal and shining that he had then, even though now he has fallen from it. Until after a short while, God helps him and God's light again shines on him. So Rebbe Nachman says, just as the blind people are following the man that could see, so too a person needs to follow himself. And a person needs to kind of drag himself out of this negative space by focusing on what he had in the past and using that to revive himself. And Rebbe Nachman's saying like an element here also of kind of just like fake it until you make it. Like just keep on trying that route. And then eventually Hashem, on this page over here, God will help him and God will shine the light on him again. Amen. Okay, so again, like a person needs to remember this past inspiration that he had, and by holding on to it, Hashem will re-inspire him again. So I think that both these pieces, and the Sichos HaRan piece, are so amazing because we see how Rebbe Nachman was so in touch, and he gives such validation to the different ways people feel throughout their lives. He makes it so clear how we go through ups and downs with this and that, and how we need to really work towards happiness. He just draws out in such depth our emotions with his, also with his stories, which I didn't bring in here, but with his stories and with his lessons about this journey that we're all on, in this world. And I love also how he tells us, to look within ourselves, we need to draw ourselves out of it. We need to remember all our good points, and we need to hold on to our past inspirations and past lights. And from that, it's like, tug of war, like pulling ourselves out of it. But it's just, again, like he's telling us, look in ourselves, look within to find this happiness. And, we're in this adventure, where we have this opportunity to come close to Hashem, the creator of the world. And where Hashem gave us this amazing opportunity, and specifically us, specifically the chosen people, where we have this chance of giving nachas to Hashem. It's such a schus. Like if we really understood the magnitude of it, it's crazy. Like we would be elated. So I just want to give everyone a bracha that we realize like who we are and where we come from, and this opportunity we have and this journey that we're on. Like, it's all incredible. And of course it's easy to get stuck at points and, be pulled down. But again, like, we have to find our good points. We have to remember who we are. So I give everyone a bracha to have lots of Yishuv Hadatz and lots of Simcha. And everyone should just have a wonderful night. Thank you for listening.